Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine
What's
a light
your story?
on incredible. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight Sessions. I'm really excited for our conversation today because we have Robyn Rosenberger, who is the founder and CEO of Tiny SuperHeroes. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. It's really a great pleasure to have you.
It's so good to meet you too. We're really excited about this.
Yeah, awesome. So are we. So why don't we just kind of dive right in? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Robyn. I live in St. Louis, Missouri, which is also where I grew up, though I started Tiny SuperHeroes living in Seattle, Washington. But we're back. I have 3 boys who are 11, 8, and 5, and they are definitely what keeps me busy. And it's really cool because I started Tiny SuperHeroes when our oldest was just 1. So they've never known life without it. And I think that's when I really dig a little deeper into like some of the meaning behind why I do what I do, like my kids pop up pretty quickly. I'm married to an awesome guy named Joe who works full time with me at Tiny SuperHeroes. And, you know, I'm an entrepreneur in spirit and I love people. So I think that's kind of why I'm sitting right here with you.
Amazing. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about Tiny SuperHeroes?
So, Tiny SuperHeroes, it's a social enterprise, and our mission is to empower extraordinary kids overcoming illness or disability. And it started by accident. It was a great accident that I made a superhero cape for my nephew's birthday. And then I made one for our son, who was 1 at the time, and our dog, who was also 1 at the time. And I kind of, what'd you say?
Said can't forget the
You
dog.
can't forget the dog. No, the dog, it plays a big role at Tiny SuperHeroes now as well. So I was like making capes. I was working at a software company and I need to be doing like 10 things at one time. So I was apparently bored. And so in my journey to sell superhero capes, which wasn't thriving, I was introduced to the story of a little girl named Brenna who was born with a very severe and very rare skin disorder. And Brenna was 1 at the time. And I'll never forget, I was rocking our son, his name is Rory, and I was like scrolling on Facebook, which isn't something I encourage, but it did lead to this, which is awesome. And I was reading Brenna's story, and you know, they were unsure if she would make it. It was a very terrifying beginning of her journey. And it was one of the first times that I was in a scenario where I was like, holy cow, like that could be me. It could be anyone. Like it could be anyone. And what really struck me was that her mom, who is now an author and an amazing woman, was expressing so much gratitude in the midst of like the worst thing you could imagine. You know, like even nights where it was like not sure she's going to make it through the night, she was expressing gratitude. And I was like dumbfounded. And I was unsure if in the same scenario that's how I would be responding. And regardless, I was like, Brenna needs a superhero cape. And there were a few reasons. You know, I was super inspired by their story. But really, like what really came to me like that moment was I wanted her mom to know that I knew Brenna was beautiful. Because Brenna's skin disorder makes her look different. And her mom, of course, saw her beauty. And I believe many people see her beauty, but I understand the fear of like, what if they didn't? And I just wanted her to know that this like stranger saw it and thought she was a superhero. So that was nearly 10 years ago, which it feels like a month ago, but we've now sent over 100,000 capes to kids in like 28 different countries, overcoming anything and everything from ADHD, anxiety, cancer, spina bifida, cerebral palsy, blindness, terminal diagnoses. We have an angel squad for Tiny SuperHeroes who've passed away. it's really this like inclusive group of families who get it, and who have the fortunate and unfortunate circumstance of going through something that gives them the perspective that I wish we all had.
Yeah. That's really an amazing story. Amazing story how you started the organization, and the impact that you are, doing on a day-to-day basis. So I'm curious to hear a little bit about some of the reactions that you get when you send these superhero capes, and how these kids react to them. I'm sure it must be, you know, so fulfilling.
Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate over here to have a job with a lot of positive feedback, it's really interesting, like on a psychological level, like kids put on capes and they put their arms up and they run, like there's just like this inner understanding that I can't explain. Some scientists have done better, but like I don't know exactly why putting something around your neck just like gives you that boost. But like some like really cool examples, like there's this little boy named Jonathan who had this incredibly terrible flesh-eating bacteria, and it cost
Wow.
him his leg. It was very scary. He overcame it, which is amazing, but needed like weekly, if not daily, like blood draws to make sure it wasn't coming back. And he hated the blood draws. And this kid had been through so much that you would think a blood draw was no big deal. He hated the blood draws and he would scream and scream. And he got his cape in the mail. And the next day they went and he ran into the hospital and got his blood draw with not one tear. And it's like, you can't explain that. Like, our capes are awesome, but like, they're not magic, But like,
But
there
they
is
were. They,
something when someone believes in you and there is
mhm,
a tangible representation of that is just extraordinary. But so many of our tiny superheroes are itty bitty babies who have no idea what's going on, and
yeah.
the symbol of hope that it is for their family and community, it's just really powerful. And it's cool because you
Totally.
can't predict how someone's going to react or
Mhm.
who's going to react. And sometimes it's 3 years later that the cape actually becomes important to them. But we are very, very full of like, we get way more back than we give in the capes. And the capes really are just the beginning. So for us, we say the cape is like the beginning of your journey with us. And we have a patch program so kids can earn patches every month for their cape at no cost to their family. Every month we unlock a superpower together. So this month we're unlocking, what are we doing? Gratitude is what we're doing. And so we like have a mission and it's an activity, and we're writing down like, or drawing or one thing we're grateful for every day, and then they earn their gratitude patch. So their patches are, or their capes are being filled with their journey, and it really becomes part of their childhood, which is something that's really important to me.
Yeah, definitely. You said before that the capes aren't magic, but I have to say, sitting over here listening to you talk, there's definitely some magic there. So I think it's incredible what you're doing. Um, I actually have a cousin who, when he was younger, he was diagnosed with leukemia, and I just remember, going to the hospital, seeing him, and then there would be like there would be magic there, whether it was a game or something specific that gave him that light again, and it was magic. So
Yeah.
I have to say that I do think it's magic
Well,
what you are
thank
doing. I
you.
think it's
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you.
Definitely. Um, so on the topic of Jonathan, and you mentioned, one specific story, but I am curious if there are any specific accomplishments that you're most proud of with Tiny Superheroes, whether that being, the stories that you tell every day or something that you've accomplished as an organization.
Yeah, that's a tough question. On a very surface level, we're gonna go
Mhm.
surface and then we'll go deep. On a very surface level, really early on in Tiny Superheroes, I got this phone call, and it was Warner Brothers, and they're like,
Wow.
"We want to induct you in the Superman Hall of Fame." Now, you've probably never heard of the Superman Hall of Fame, nor had I
Mhm.
ever heard of the Superman Hall of Fame. It's not the Superman Hall of Fame. It's the Superman Hall of Heroes. Okay. And they were like,
Wow.
we're recognizing, 11 people, and it's like Shaquille O'Neal and the New York Fire Department and Elena Nichols, who's this amazing Paralympian, and you. And I'm like, I think you have the wrong person. Like, I'm pretty sure, I am so grateful for the phone call, but I'm pretty sure you have mistaken, because out of this lineup, I mean, I was the civilian, And what was so cool about it was, first of all, it was an amazing experience. I was very humbled to even be part of it. And, we're a really good fit for something like the Superman Hall of Heroes, right? But
Yeah, definitely.
but what was so cool about it, and this was again really early on, was like it gave me an picture of what you can do with like a platform, because our community is families, but our community is kids who don't have a platform really. And then we have kids with all different sorts of challenges that make their platform even harder. And it was like, wow, if we can have a voice that can be projected, then let's do it, And it was like really cool, because it was like, well, this is definitely not about me, but these are amazing opportunities to represent the kids. And so it was really cool. And I mean, very fun. But I would say that on one of the things I'm most proud of is that our families, we have families who've been with Tiny Superheroes for the whole time we've been doing it. And that's what it's about to me, is like the cape is significant. And I think for some people that might be all they do with us, And I hope that is like so meaningful. But what's meaningful to me is when they become part of our community, and like we are their family, they are our family, whether they're earning patches every month or, they take 2 years off, like that they can relate and feel part of us for a long period of time is something that I'm most proud of, because we do most things like wrong and the hard way, but it's like, it makes me feel like we're getting something right, that they want to still be here. And for me, that's crucial. If they don't want to still be here, then like I'm not doing it the way I want to be doing it,
Yeah, definitely. And I think it also shows the impact that you're making, that parents and children want to still be involved and want to continue. So I think, it's just amazing. So to kind of, steer on to a different topic, we really like to ask this question to everybody that comes on to the Spotlight sessions, because we always get a really different answer. So I would like to know, what does accessibility mean to you?
I love that question. And I can totally see why you would get a different answer every time. But to me, accessibility means everybody having the same access and opportunity and a feeling of belonging everywhere. So at Tiny Superheroes, if you want to be here, you can be. You have access. We're welcoming you. And when you get here, you feel part of it, no matter what.
Yeah, that's so important. And if there are any listeners or viewers who would like to become, to get involved with Tiny Superheroes, how can they do so?
Yeah, we would love that. So at tinysuperheroes.com, you'll find everything you need. And if you know somebody or have a child or know a child, anyone can nominate anybody. So you can just find the big nominate button on our website. And that's a really good way to get started. But there's a lot of other information on there too if you wanted to start a different way. But that's kind of the beginning of everyone's journey with us. And we hope that we can continue sending lots of capes to kids all over the world. It's in my mind, like when I picture it, it's like one cape on a micro level is so significant, right? And can really change the trajectory of someone's path, like a cape. It's really amazing. But when I imagine like millions of kids with capes, that's when it changes the whole conversation. Because if we can create a world where people see superpowers instead of differences, then we've started going a better direction.
Yes, definitely. Well, Robyn, it really was such a pleasure to speak with you today and to have you on the Spotlight Sessions. We will, of course, have all of the information about how to get involved and, of course, about Tiny Superheroes in the description of the show notes. But it was really great speaking with you and having you on the show, and we look forward to the next conversation.
Same. Thank you so much. So great to meet you.
Thank you.
Bye.